everybody. Tonight's going to be one of those nights I think a lot of people will be listening and are probably in shock at this moment that I have Dave Miller on the show tonight. And it has been a long and strange trip for both of us in the world of Utah, UFOs, Skinwalker Ranch, just all sorts of things. I think each of us have had a discovery process, and sometimes we've gone down rabbit holes that we've probably regretted going down, and sometimes we've let different personalities cloud our judgment on things, people, issues, and that definitely happens like no other place I've ever seen. But Skinwalker Ranch, lots of shady characters around that place. But it'll be interesting to talk about this tonight. I think it's really good, and I want to thank everybody for being here. People staying up late, people from all over the world. Yeah, thanks, Sean. It's nice to see you, and Ken, and Mystico 90, and Scott, and everybody. Phil, everybody. Thanks for being here. You can support the show by going to ufoclassified.com to become a Patreon. And again, we're just barely at the point where we're covering costs for the show. And then at some point in time, I've got really great things in the works for a nonprofit that I am in the process of creating for the archiving and a lot of other really cool things that I think will shake up the world of UFOs. And I'm looking forward to making a big contribution along with my partner in that regard. This will be a lot of fun. My goal, as you know, is to get to the truth, whatever that means. And sometimes I promote things that I, at one point in time, think are real. And then as I go through that learning process, I will be the first one to admit that I went down the wrong rabbit hole. I'm guilty of that. We all are in this subject. And if you don't have the humility to take it on the chin every once in a while and admit your mistakes publicly, then you shouldn't be in the field because you're just kind of bogging it down. Hey, Amy and Scott, yeah, thanks. I'm really excited. So Dave Miller has been researching the paranormal for a long, long time and has put a lot of effort into the Uintah Basin. He's spent a lot of time there at Blind Frog Ranch and near another or on the ranch that shall not be named. And as
Why, thank you.
I know, dun dun dun. And hey,
Right,
Lee, how are you?
right.
But and I know that Tammy was bringing up a point before the show started. It's like, okay, there's obviously been tension between the two of us. You did a series of
Honestly, I can't even say that it was tension. It was just complete ignorance. It was, and uh, a lot of people that are on the outside of this area all watch television shows, and you all feel like you're connected to the area, and you may even feel like the people that are on these shows and all that stuff. Well, there's a whole different world behind it, and there's a lot of, I'll call them gremlins, that are around these ranches, and they do a very good job at playing people against each other. I was fed a lot of bullshit that Erica was against me at this and saying this about that, and always just negative hating on me about this or whatever it was that I was trying to come forward and whatever the results were for my investigation on that weekend, whatever I was trying to put out in videos. They're always telling me, these individuals were telling me that you were attacking me and all this. So I mean, I'm a kid from, I've been around the country. I was raised in Queens, New York. So that whole talking shit game was easy for me to play right back. I was like, oh, yeah, well, she says this and says that. Now, the intelligent thing would have been for me to pick up a phone and call you and say, Erica, what's the problem? And we did have a couple of conversations right before things got really, really cooked. And I was like, hey, everything. And you're like, listen, and you warned me. You did warn me. You said, listen, and I'm not saying any names, but you're like, listen, if these guys are saying this or saying that about me, I'm not saying anything directly to you or about you to anybody. So, just take it easy, blah, blah, blah. You were nice about it. And they just kept, oh, yeah, well, after you got off the phone with her, after you talked those messages, then she told this or said this about that. So the fire was getting stoked on a constant basis. So that in turn, I fired back and I retaliated off of these people. And I'm going to say one of them personally I thought was a very, very close friend. I really thought this dude was my buddy. I did. And it turned out that he was everything but that. But he was right in the middle. And I know he's watching right now. And you know what, dude? Right there for you. You deserve that. You deserve a lot more than that. But I'm going to go ahead and give you just that finger for free. It's free. But he was right in the middle and stoking these flames and saying this and that and playing the game. And and then we ended up so crossed up. And not only with you, it was, other people that, hey, this and that, wondering where you came from and how you got to the level that you got to so fast out there. I never thought
What level?
I,
What
I
level was that?
never thought I was making level because I got invited onto the ranch to go do some research and do this and that. So what? I was like, this is what I'm here for. I am here to try and capture any type of activity I can, whether it be paranormal, whether it's UFOs in the sky, whatever. That's what I was there for. I wasn't there to really to become popular, or I certainly have never been there to be on a television show. I was hired to do Blind Frog Ranch, yes, but I never auditioned. I never sent tapes. I never sent stories. Actually, the producers and Dwayne approached me. We started talking about some of the things in the area. I started to present some of my evidence to them. They liked it and they brought me onto the show. And I love every single one of those guys. They are the most genuine, cool, nice people. But that's a different story. I got to get back to my apology because it's this is how this place is. There's the gremlins out there that will definitely play us against each other, and they're going to try after this. I know they're going to try, but I've got them all cut off, so they can't get to me anymore. I don't talk to them. I don't deal with them. I do me, and I work very close with the people at Blind Frog, and that's it. That's it.
You know what? And I really honestly think that, I appreciate you reaching out to me a couple weeks ago, and that really
Absolutely.
shocked me. And I mean, since that happened, I had thought about, because I'm like you, I don't like to leave things unresolved, and it's like I wanted to just like okay, maybe I should try to get a hold of him and see what was going on with that, because knowing some of the people that are involved and that
I gotta say this, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is what that really started the motion of me making contact to get a hold of you to apologize to you. Was a sweet lady right out at the UFO Valley campground. She invited me out. Her name's Jody. She's an amazing, amazing, very cool lady. Runs a campground, puts you right on top of all these ranches out there so you can see for yourself. Um, I went on a ride with her and we got to talking, and she brought you up and we started talking, and I was like, you know what, man, after all this time, I need to reach out to Erica and just say I'm sorry. That's
thank
all.
you.
That's all I wanted to do. Is I didn't have any idea that I was going to come on your show and talk or anything. I just wanted to say, look, knowing what I know now, I'm just so sorry because I should have never said a word about you in a negative way, because we are so similar, and just because we're on that journey trying to find out what these things are, what it is, what our calling, that it's pulling us, it's constantly pulling us to go look. You walk outside at night and you're always looking up. You don't look up
Absolutely.
to enjoy the stars or the constellations. You're out there looking for something to move across. It's like a calling. You're being pulled to do this, and that's why I'm saying it's just I knew at that point I was like, I have to reach out to this lady and just tell her I'm sorry.
Thank
And
you.
I hoped, I really did. I didn't think you would even answer me back, but I was so glad that you did.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was great timing. It's good to have that kind of the closure with things like that, because I know, like we both know, and people that have been involved with that particular area, that there are people at work to try to do things behind the scenes that don't have the best intentions for whatever reason, whether it's their own ego, whether it's something that they're, I mean, they're trying to discredit people that are trying to find out things. Who knows what it is, but
Right,
it's pretty ugly. And I definitely think as you dig into particular places, you lose that sense of joy, and magic, because some of the people are
right.
so rotten. And that's unfortunate because it's a beautiful area. And
It
so
is.
I love it. I mean, I still every time I go there, I was up there, a couple months ago, and at Jody's UFO campground and stuff, and I just like I sit there and you watch the sunset, and you just think nothing more spectacular on the planet
They're
than
such cool people, and it's
yeah,
it's so cool. The
right.
ridge, the ridge is the magic for me. It really is. It's like everything I've seen out there. Now, again, I can't say the name, but I've been close to a very famous paranormal ranch out there, and every activity I've filmed or seen out there was off. Oh, there is never on the ranch. It was always out by the ranch.
On somebody else's property.
Yes, and I made the mistake of tying my video to the name of that ranch when it
Oh,
wasn't even on their property. It's just you say before the shows, you'd say the Uintah Basin. People are like nobody knows what that is, but you said the big SWR BS, and then they go, "Oh, I know what that is." You know what I mean? So I used the name to identify my videos that were actually shot in the valley, very close proximity to the ranch, but wasn't really on the ranch. The activity that I recorded, the most amazing thing I saw in the basin that I've seen to this day was on the ridge. It wasn't even their property, and they
yep,
sued me for it.
yep. And that's it's just. I mean, it's interesting that happened. I mean, and I just remember, and that was the time when all of this drama was happening between us, and you did, and just to go back to Tammy's questions here. I mean, you did a couple shows, YouTube shows,
But
and
yeah, yeah.
um, and I mean, I watched them. I think in horror, I was just like, oh my! But then, I mean, it was I can look back on it and kind of I have to laugh, and I really wish I had a Jabba Luke's. Was it
Oh
Java
man,
Lux t-shirt?
I,
I'm like,
I honestly, I don't even remember the things that I like. You say things like that, and I go, "Oh yeah, that sounds like something I said," but it wasn't even like a. It was more like I was just trying to do comedy sketches and just kind of laugh it off, and But with comedy, it is what it is, and somebody's feelings always get hurt, and I know it hurt your feelings, and I'm fucking sorry. I'm so sorry because it wasn't it wasn't your fault. It was all of these gremlins around the ranch that were causing this, and me being dumb about it and just believing that these so-called friends. I thought these people were my friends. I had no reason to believe that they weren't. I mean, that's to this day I'm still hurt over it. I'm like, wow, man, I thought that this guy was my friend. I thought we were buddies, and then you find out that this person that you're calling bro and meaning that it has turned informant against you and has gone to the attorneys of this said very popular paranormal ranch and has completely cut your throat. And I mean that's I was like, wow, this shit is real. I'm like, this is for UFOs. And then it's like, you end up in a courtroom, and I'm sitting in this courtroom, and there's four of the nicest dressed people I've ever seen sitting on a table on this side of me, and I'm on this side by myself. I've got no attorney. I'm in a full courtroom in Vernal, Utah, being sued for uh, my passion to find out uh, what what is real, what isn't. UFOs, uh, paranormal activity, and I'm sitting there, and it was just like, I look over my shoulder, and there's my wife looking at me in a courtroom, and the courtroom's packed. They brought in an extra. They brought in an extra bailiff and all kinds of shit. It was
what?
crazy, and I'm sitting there. Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh,
and I'm
good
sitting there, and I'm
Lord.
looking at these people, and they've got a PowerPoint that they're going to come at me with, and the judge was like, "No, that's okay. We don't need to see any of that." And the guy's like, "Did you put videos out?" Because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, and I got to talk about that. If anybody ever asks anybody to sign a non-disclosure agreement, don't ever do that. Don't ever sign a non-disclosure agreement, especially when it comes to UFOs, paranormal activity, anything like that. It's the dumbest thing, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life was signing that thing. because I didn't know the legalities of this stuff. I've never been presented with anything like this. They go, yeah, well, you got to sign this NDA to come on over here. So you think you're just signing like, okay, yeah, I'll never tell anybody what I did here or whatever the case, right? But then they come and they say, well, we're going to do a television show, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're going to disclose everything that you're doing out here, but I got all this evidence. Can I present it? I mean, it got so deep that the owner of this said property was going out and doing fucking radio interviews talking about me on these radio interviews, but I'm not allowed to say anything about them. He's out there, and I know he's talking directly about me because his cronies sent me the interview. It was on Spaced Out Radio, and he's talking directly about me out there. And one of his cronies that lives in Wisconsin, you know, that douche, that guy that lives in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin douchebag UFO hunter guy. I'm sorry. I won't say his name, Ryan Skinner, but that guy, he's out there and he's contacted me. He's like, oh, you have to listen to this. He sends me the message. I've got the message. Oh, Brandon was talking about you, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, wow, this guy's really, he's not only did he sue me, but now he's going out talking shit about me to anybody that will listen. Now, this is the thing that I'm faced with on a regular basis because why? Because I believe in UFOs and that I want to go out and I want to film this stuff and I want to make contact and I want to see it with my own eyes. I've seen things out there in the basin that are completely unexplainable. This is the passion. And then I've got people that have money against me because they want to be the ones that present it. Okay, that's fine. I'll wait. What have you presented? What have they presented?
Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, as far as I know, blurred out videos of animals being maimed by wild dogs and different
Right.
things, but which, you know, is I mean, it's great evidence. They've certainly done a lot of good scientific research. But and I want to just, you know, you bring up a very interesting point because I've had this particular individual call me on social media slimy malcontent, and you know, I mean, it's so it's like, okay, there, how does this work legally both ways? I mean, you can say this about somebody's character, clearly trying to assassinate somebody's character on social media, and you know, I mean, the law works in you know, the law works in different ways. And what is the what could a lawyer tell us about the way we've been treated in by certain
Exactly.
individuals? It's just intimidation and really poor form. Because if there was truly, if there was something genuine to what was taking place in specific areas, they wouldn't need to resort to this kind of lower level mafioso tactics, in my opinion. But
Man. And that's the thing about it is it's like, you know, I've got everything. I've got everything I filmed. I've got every message that was sent to me. I'm a true investigator. Okay, if I'm out in the field or I'm getting threatening messages or anything like that, I save everything. I save everything. I record everything. I had a camera running on me every time I'm in the basin. Not only do I got a camera in my new ride, it goes on the front of the truck and the back of the truck. So I've got a camera running at all times, whether I'm driving, when I get out, I film. You have to. If you're out there investigating and you're looking for these things, you have to have a camera going at all times because you just never know when you're going to see anything. But these people, they want to say that I said this or I said that, and they act like they're innocent. If I put out the threats that I got towards my family, and I mean direct words threatening me about the stuff that was going on out in the basin, people would lose their fucking minds. You wouldn't even know. You would be like, "There's no way that guy said that to you." There it is, right there. There's the whole message. He said it to me.
wow,
Yeah.
isn't that illegal to threaten somebody?
Well, I guess it kind of is, but I don't have that kind of money.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I don't have a lawyer. I'm not. I'm not a lawyer guy. I'm not
Right.
the suing person. You know what I mean? Again, as deep as I've fallen into this rabbit hole, like you say, you fall into this. The end result of all this stuff has been for me is I just try to brush that shit off and go, I'm here for what I'm here for. I'm not here to jump the fence of your ranch and go run. I mean, man, I can sit right outside that fence and see everything that you see too. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. The most
You
secured
don't,
location on the planet because they're, things opening up and there's a threat to everybody around there. And,
right,
do,
right.
do, do.
We're looking at the same stuff, but nobody owns this. Nobody owns it. You can have all the money in the world that you want, that you've been gifted or um, trust funded to. You know what I mean? You know that guy. You can have all the money in the world, but it doesn't mean shit when you can't buy that. You can't be the person. You can't pay for activity, man. You can, but it's bullshit. It's
Well,
bullshit.
Bigelow did.
Right. Well, I mean, exactly. Well, but he paid people to go out and find the bullshit. He wasn't out there, you know. And I gotta say, I like Bigelow. I really do. I actually go to another one of his ranches. I'm there more than I am the other ranch right now.
That looks like a cool place.
It is. It is a cool place, and this is NIDS, National Institute of Discovery Science, Jaquez Vallée. All these dudes were out there. Jaquez wrote about it in his book. He has, did I say something wrong?
Nope.
Uh-oh. What happened? You got a naked man in front of you?
No. Never mind. Never mind. Oh, anyway, yeah, no, yep. Yeah, and that was allegedly a place where they staged stuff for the Utah ranch. And I mean, there's so many
Right.
mysterious
There's
stories that
so
come
many
up.
stories.
And again, it's like even with Bigelow, you can't verify anything. It's this
No.
cloak and dagger kind of game playing. And
I was told by someone very popular in the Uintah Basin, um, the nickname for Robert Bigelow was the black hole of information. You may have heard that as well, that terminology, right to exactly what they called him, because he didn't share anything. He didn't share nothing.
that's probably because he didn't have anything to share.
Well, I mean, it's very possible. And what we've gotten so far, the real truth of the basin, it goes to that book. And what a wonderful book it is, the Skinwalker book that Knapp did with Cullum. It's a great book. I found myself reading the paragraphs to myself 2 and 3 times over again to make sure that I was processing that information correctly, whether it be the bulletproof wolf, whether it be the refrigerator craft flying across the property, whatever the case. You know what I mean? You just, the book was amazing, but that's what we have. That's what we have. I mean, I started watching the show, and they're still bringing those guys onto the show looking for some type of validation of, well, what happened in this area for you guys? Well, this is what we did here, and because they've got nothing. They've got nothing. They've got nothing.
No, and I think the really interesting thing is, I do have Eric Davis on record saying that the NID scientists were only allowed to go to the ranch a handful of times. And then they were told they couldn't go to the ranch. And even then they weren't given access to the good equipment that Bigelow had locked up in Vegas. And so, it's just like, okay. So clearly, when you look at that situation, that there was something other than a scientific research project taking place. What that could be is something that I have been kind of looking into, and that's going to be a good story when it comes out.
Right. But when we look back at Bigelow and his time in the Uintah Basin, he wouldn't even let George Knapp do news stories. Knapp did the stories, but then he asked him, please don't put these out, because he didn't want people roaming the fence lines, and he didn't want the attention. So when that kind of stuff, with that being said, I really appreciate that from Bigelow. I think that kind of validates that he was actually into it for the better good. You know what I mean? That he wasn't looking for fame and news stories and television shows and all that bullshit, because it really didn't exist at the time, right? He wasn't out there. He was just out there doing his thing. So, and I know you know way more than most people do. about the real stuff that was going on in that ranch. You've got true information that that a lot of people will never hear or understand it, and we probably couldn't understand it because you have to be close to those people to understand the full effects of what happened out there. You're there, and for the good or the bad of it, you know more than most anybody will ever know about that property.
It's and I go to therapy every day to try to get over that. Just kidding. It's definitely it's like
No, no, I
I
mean,
really wish I didn't know. And I think the thing that's been so interesting for me is as a researcher, I think it's really important to a lot of people get into this subject and then they're looking at a UFO case and they're trying to prove it's real and they spend their whole life trying to prove it or disprove it, but yet they're not looking at the cast of characters that accompany that case. They're not looking at a deeper level as to why this could be some sort of intelligence operation or not, or it could be a grift or not. And you're not looking at people and investigating their backgrounds and agendas. And I think that's something that I've really dug myself into when things started to go sour with the Skinwalker narrative. And they did, just like with MUFON, for me, I started asking questions and saying, wait a minute, something isn't right here. 50 years worth of research and data, and yet nothing's being done except we're inviting Corey Good to speak at a conference. Okay, clearly we've come so far. And, so you've got the same types of things and it's like what is it what I just it's fascinating to me, and I've got a really lucky that I've got a group of researchers, some of are here in chat tonight, who are working behind the scenes looking at deeper details about specific things. And I think that we're starting to really, really break through things and see the clear picture. And the clear picture has nothing to do with UFO research. And I hope at some point in time, the truth comes out, hopefully in a big way, because
well,
people are being manipulated and people are being
it's a lot of it started to
messed
come
with.
out. A lot of it started to come out not on the basin, but you take these Corbell videos where he came out with the UAP swarms of drones and the UAP swarms over these military, the naval. Uh, I'm trying to think what they called them. I don't think it was the pyramid ones, but close to that time. Um, and it comes to find out that they were Chinese spy drones spying on our military. But Corbell took these videos and went crazy with them, talking about, oh, UAPs and they're real, and the federal government says that this is all real and it's true. Well, the videos are real, the videos were true, but the UAPs were Chinese drones that were launched off of a Chinese spy ship that was sitting right off the coast, and they knew what it was. They knew what it was, but they let everybody run with the fake story of UAPs thinking that they were UFOs. Well, I mean, good on the government, because they said that the videos were legit, but they didn't say what else they knew about it. They let us run and go, oh my gosh, that Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, they sure can come up with some videos, can't they? Like every video that comes out that's UFO based, for how long was it there? Every video you were seeing was being presented by George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. There's no denying this. It's all over the place. And every time you turn on the TV and somebody's talking about a UAP, there's Jeremy Corbell's face. He's putting his name across the videos, and he's taking all the glory of this stuff, writing out these stories, and it's all bullshit. It's Chinese drones. And they've come out, and the UK released the story on this stuff. I shared the story on my Facebook, but it was mind blowing to me how the UFO community just went, oh, hey, look over here, and nobody shared the story. Everybody avoided it because it was the truth. And when the truth comes out and people find out what this shit really is, and I'm not saying, believe me, I believe in UFOs, and I believe in these things that we're filming and seeing. But also, I believe that I've filmed some stuff being tested in the sky that I wasn't supposed to see. I've gone to Area 51. I've been chased by the camo dudes. I've gone out. I've been chased all over Uintah Basin. I got chased right into a courtroom. I've been chased. You know, I've done my duty to turn over some, you know, to kick
Yeah.
rocks over and look. You know, I've done my best to get out there and see what I can see. But I know that some of the stuff, probably most of the stuff that I've seen, is man-made somehow, some way. But there's that small percentage that comes through, and it's just, you know, when you see these things, that there is no mistaking that what I just saw, whether it was a portal, whether it was natural energy from the earth that we just don't understand at this point. I mean, we don't understand. We don't even know what's in the ocean. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're discovering new things on a regular basis of oceanic life and all this. So we don't know what we think we know about this planet and what it's capable of doing
Exactly.
and the energy that it's capable of producing.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you see these things and you just know that you've just witnessed something amazing, and there's no explanation to it. The way it moved, the way it traveled, the way it left, the way it disappeared, there's just no explanation to it. And there have been those moments of magic, not as many as I want, but I've seen a handful, small handful of magic that I've seen that keeps me going back, you know. So whatever. Hey Jeremy, hey George, how you doing, guys?
Oh God. Well, why stop now? I mean, whatever. I
Right.
could, you know, I keep threatening to do like a, you know, a puppet show because, you know, like comedy is kind of a good relief release
Yeah.
for things, and I have it in my mind. It's good. I've been working with my friend, and she's coming over tomorrow night, and hopefully we can get a little further on the puppet show of ufology, which will be kind of fun. But I mean, it is fascinating because they're like, I mean, I believe I feel the same way you do. There's something genuine, and I've seen things that I cannot to this day explain. Maybe someday
Right.
I will be able to, and that's what keeps me interested, along with the fact that there are people that I've communicated with over the years who've seen things that they genuinely believe are real, and it's fascinating. And then, you know, to try to weed through, because we both had the misfortune of getting involved in this particular area where there's probably something much deeper going on that probably at the end of the day, yeah, well, whatever. I'm not going to even say any more than that, but that's yeah. So I think that you know, it's hard because we go through that process of really wanting to believe and really caring about this, and then you get kind of smacked down, and you have these experiences, and it makes it at times very disheartening
Right.
when you really feel like I mean, you're spending your own money, you're buying your own equipment, you're
Oh
taking
man.
time away from your family, you know, you're hanging out, and you know, I mean, it's just you think you you think that you're really doing something important, and it's fun, and you
Right.
love it, and then
Right.
that is taken away, or I allowed it to get taken away by a handful of people who are not good human beings. And so it's like I'm kind of struggling, you know, right now to get to find that place of wonderment again, and just get my mojo on again. But hopefully both of our
I
stories will be a
understand.
lesson to people. You know what I mean? It's like this
I
is
understand. And I was there after I was sued. I mean, I I walked out of a courtroom uh, just dumbfounded that this was happening over what it was happening over. I'm like, I've really just sat in front of a judge because I want to find out the truth of what this stuff is, right? I mean, and what's sad is I can't say that I regret it. I can't regret it because I'm still pulled to the area. I'm still pulled. Go back. Something tells me to go back. I go back, and that's it. And that's where the connection that no Lamborghini helicopter, uh, no ATV side by side, nothing that has nothing to do with it. I feel pulled. I go back to the area, and I start to witness this amazing activity, whether it's just weird lights or calm feelings. I get around Bottle Hollow Reservoir, and it's almost, it's just like a Zen moment for me. You just get there and I'm just relaxed. I know that it's like the area is embracing me for being there because it wants me there. As crazy as that sounds, that's what happens. That's the calm Zen moment that I get when I'm in that around that reservoir. It's
You know,
just
you
amazing.
know, it is fascinating, and I feel the same way. I mean, there's something that really draws me to that place. Other than, I mean, some of just the, like I said, I've never seen some of the most beautiful sunsets in my life
Right,
in that
right,
area. It's just absolutely spectacular. And then you've got, you know, all the oil rigs and things and, you know, toxic smells and you know, all of the all of these
right,
things, you know, people dying early because they're being exposed to things, and there's really not a lot of people monitoring activity there because they look the other way. We're so good at that in Utah, but um
right,
and so, you know, it is it's a really fascinating place. I love the people. I love the friends that I've met that I have known and will always be friends with there and talk to on a regular basis. It's just, you know, I'm from Utah. I'm a Utah girl. I care
right.
about my community. I care about my state. I care about people in uh, that are coming to this UFO topic because they want to learn more. And I will say that when I was, you know, up at the conference, and I said this on some of my shows, it was very nicely done. The event owners did a great job. They're also doing one over, I think, in Belarus. Again, the same group of people. Just fascinating. So many
Right.
places
I've
to
gone
go.
to one. I went to one UFO conference, and that's where I met you there.
Yes,
And
that was
you know,
so great.
it was cool. I mean, we were. It was so cool. We had a cool moment. We gave each other the hug and was like, "Hey, nice to meet you." You know, you were like the big speaker there, and then I turned around and I saw Travis Walton, and man, you want to talk about walls coming down quick? Holy smokes, man! I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. I'm still disappointed in all that. That's another one of those stories where you know as a fan of the movie, you watch the movie, you go, man, this is a great movie. This is a great story. And if I ever had the chance to ask him a question, I'd ask him. And I asked him a question, and there was just, I knew instantly, I knew instantly in my heart that it was over. I was like, this is all bullshit. This is a 45-year-old lie right here happening in front of my face. And then I see this show that he did, and this is their thing with the whole fire in the sky stuff. Oh, we passed lie detector tests. Did you pass lie detector tests? We passed lie detector tests. Well, there's this show on Fox called To Tell the Truth, and Travis Walton went on the show. A lot of people are not familiar with this because they did a very good job at hiding this. However they did it, however they masked it to keep it not very public, but they got to the very last question, which if Walton would have answered this question correctly, he would have gotten $100,000 because all the other questions he answered were truth. And the last question was in 1975, were you abducted by a UFO? And he sits there with the straightest face in the world and he said yes. And no, he was lying. The lie detector test says that he was lying. They said that it was not even close. It deduced that you were lying. You were not telling the truth. So maybe they did pass a lie detector test in 1975. What was the technology back then?
When I think, you know, some of the questions that were asked, there was a fair uh, group. I mean, there were researchers that were living in that time, and they were calling things into question and specifically pointing out the lie detector tests and saying that they were not asked about all they were asked about was Travis' disappearance. It wasn't
Right.
about a UFO or being abducted. And
Uh,
so, of course, they passed the lie detector test because they weren't asked
right.
about
They didn't,
the
nobody killed
story.
him. Nobody killed him.
So,
But I just, like I say, I have a very rough relationship with Travis Walton and most of those guys. Sometimes Steve Pearson myself get along, and then I'll post something, and it'll be on my Facebook, and he'll be attacking it just because they're just all kind of mean guys, man. They're just not very happy people. They certainly don't act like they witnessed this amazing event that they witnessed. If you ask me personally,
I think
this
it's
is
been a
one of the
long, hard road for them, and that's got to eat up. And I think for some of them, Mike Rogers, Steve Pierce. I mean, they had to go. I mean, apparently along with something, and I think it weighed on them, and I think it took a toll mentally and on their families and different things. And so it's just a real. It's an interesting thing, and I
yeah.
wouldn't
I know,
know
and
if it was
I'm sorry that I turned the subject there, but we got 2 hours, so I got to talk shit about everybody that I can.
no. I think it's interesting because we were all there at that Utah UFO festival, which was great, and I really miss Nate. He was such a like just a gung ho, like really excited.
What happened? What happened to him?
You know what? I think he moved out of state. I think he got disillusioned, and I know that he's still bebopping around and photographing things, and I'll see some posts every once in a while, but for a while there, he did an excellent job getting community support, getting funding for that,
Right.
creating a wonderful space where all of us could meet, and I could meet people in the area, and it was really, really cool. So,
There was. I have to say it though. I mean, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't here telling the truth. Because later that night, after all the festivities were over, somebody grabbed a microphone and was just up talking about UFOs and walking around. The mic was still live over by where the band area was, and they started talking about religion and the Mormon religion and UFOs and trying to tie everything in. And I was sitting by a campfire and I was just completely blown away at what I was hearing. And I was like, wow, really, I'm really glad that this conversation over the PA system didn't happen when everybody was here, because people would have probably I would have went to my car and just left. You know what I mean? This is crazy. But for the most part, at the whole event, and you guys probably all are figuring out why nobody invites me to speak at these at these events, because I can't hold back. I can't hold back and sugarcoat everything.
and we shouldn't. I mean, and that's the thing. I think
It's
too many
it's not
people
my nature. I can't do that.
really. I never would have noticed that about you.
I can't be pretend, man. I am 100% a believer in the paranormal, in ufology. I believe in these forces. I believe in the activity. I can't really, even though I've met some really shady, shitty people around all of this stuff, and people on their quest for fame. That's one of the things that we talked about. You asked me today about the bio thing. Do you have a bio? And no, I don't. And I don't care about that stuff. I don't really think about what it is that I do. I know what it is that I do for myself. But then you get these people that I'm a paranormal investigator / psychic medium / remote viewer / author / and there's just another / and another / of all these amazing things that this one individual can do. But why? It's like when I see these things, or demonologists
Whoa.
it's like, okay, listen, you're really promoting yourself, and I see it, and you're in all of these things, and you know everything about all this stuff, and then you go to look at what kind of evidence they're presenting, and you're just like, what a clown. You know what I mean? It's like you're just trying to get on the next Ghost Adventure show. That's all it is. And I love doing the TV show. It was so fun to go out and hang out with these guys, Dwayne, Chad, Jamie, all of
I
these
like
guys were
Jamie a lot.
so
In fact, I keep
so
threatening
cool.
to get Jamie on the show and stuff. I really,
Oh, you
really
got to
like
get him.
Jamie.
He's so cool.
He's
He's
a
so
really
cool.
nice guy. Yeah, and you're
We
right.
we had one of the funniest bloopers. I'm going to tell this story.
Okay.
I hope it doesn't get me in trouble, but it's so funny. These guys are filming like constantly, and long days. So we met up at this bar in Vernal where I was going to give some information to Jamie, and we're sitting at the bar, and we're having this discussion going back and forth, and he's telling me about some of the activities witnessed. Man, I don't know if I should tell this story, It's time for a commercial break, Erica.
We'll be off the air for 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's so funny. But Jamie was really tired. He had a super long day film, and he's out in the heat. And we're sitting there, and he looks at me and he goes, "Man, I just keep seeing these balls, big,
Oh.
these big balls." And we're rolling, and I'm trying my I start trying not to laugh, and then the producer sees me losing it, and it was just so funny. And he was so tired. The poor guy had been going day and night, and they're out there and they're trying to just film everything that they can, and he just left out the balls of light. It's just so funny. I loved him from that second. I was like, this dude is so cool. And I didn't really know him very good at the time. You know what I mean? We get introduced, and I present what I presented, and that was it. But he just turned out to be such a good guy. He's the one out of well, him and Dwayne both. I equally keep in contact with the both of those guys. They're always interested in what it is that I'm doing, and they're always encouraging me. Make sure you go out there, keep doing investigations and keep looking, because that information is very valuable at when it's time to film. You know what I mean? Stuff comes
Right.
up, and it's a TV show, and a lot of stuff happens really fast. But everybody, and there's this whole war. Like I said before we went live, it's like a Star Trek versus Star Wars fans. Either you love Blind Frog or you love the other show, or vice versa, whatever the case. Everybody wants to talk bad about this show or wants to talk bad about that show or whatever. And it's just the end goal of it, of working with these guys. They're also wholeheartedly wanting to know what this activity is. They're not like, oh yeah, you can't show that, or can't do this, or can't do that. They want to know. They ask just as many questions as any investigator would out there. What was that? What do you think that could have been? You think that stuff when you see these things going across the sky, but they're all about it. Chad, especially. Chad is like, he's the dude. He's down to go on ghost hunts. He's down to go and do ITC sessions and all that stuff. He's completely open to all this stuff. And his dad, Dwayne, he's just such a cool, laid back guy, but in his heart, he is dead set on discovering what these things are. He's all about it. And he just earned my respect so fast. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean, and that's the thing, that's the impression that I got when I met them at the conference. I mean, they were just like nice, genuine people. And,
Right.
I will say that I do, knowing some of the people that were lurking around there, some of the stories that can be given to people that they could maybe take on as real, that I hope, that they go through the same learning process that we do of how to discern good information and bad information, and understand that there's a lot of that going on, especially when it comes up, on, with that kind of.
There's a lot of Amazon authors, the Amazon storytellers around all of these groups. And these people are putting out tons of books, book after book after book after book, of what's going on in the basin. And again, go look and see what these people present for evidence. Ask any of these authors. Now, look, I have a book that told my story of what I went through. It was written by somebody. They took my words and they put it into a book. I'm not an author. Neither is the person that put the book out. That's a term that's used so loosely anymore. Because you have an Amazon book doesn't make you an author. I'm sorry, and it's you write, you tell stories. You're a storyteller. Um, Authors are those people that's a lot of work those people put into their books and their art. And I just hate say it's like investigator. I'm a paranormal investigator. What we're doing a session. We're in an investigation, and you go, oh, all you people standing around here in these black t-shirts right now, this is the session, this is the investigation. Okay, cool. They use these words and these terminologies, and everybody's out there believing they talk a great game. Then go out there and ask them for their best evidence. Ask them to see it for yourself. Hey, you got any video files? You got anything that you can show me? You got a YouTube channel? And go look there for yourself. And then at the end of watching the shit that they're presenting to you, you figure it out if it's real or if it's even worth your time, because there's just so many shady guys out there.
Well, and that's the interesting thing. It's like, I mean, it is funny because you do see people that pop up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, you're like, huh? All of a sudden they've written like, five books that probably they've never been bought by another living human being, and then you've got,
Yeah.
different people that are, like with the ranch narrative. It's like all of a sudden you've got, oh my gosh, somebody uncovered this family back in 1859 or whatever,
You're
uncovered
like, oh, don't you remember that phone conversation we had 2 years ago when I told you about that?
I mean,
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
okay, now we're coming up with this whole family and this making up a new narrative, and it's really interesting because I think, like I have been very lucky in my life that I have grown up around some incredible people, one of whom was one of the prime people that started the Utah archives, and they also, Dr. Everett Cooley was my grandfather's best friend, very cool, wonderful human being, and I'm lucky that I have some of his things in my possession in the archive. But he also started the University of Utah Special Archives, which houses Dr. Frank Salisbury's archive, and another very prominent Native American researcher and historian. And this person he grew up in Roosevelt, Utah, and knew more and went to every tribe and documented their oral history. And when I went to this person and had different meetings with him and said, "Can you please tell me about skinwalker lore in this area?" And he's like, "What?"
right,
I mean, it was
right.
okay. Nope,
Right.
non-existent. Sorry, didn't happen.
Well, I mean, it's like, I watched you again, like with all the stuff, and I was like, I see you do these stories. I'm like, damn, she's over there kicking it with Junior Hicks, and she knows all this. She's like really it. I was like, wow, she's really in deep with all the information. So, and I'll say this. I mean, I've got no shame to my game. I go out, I do what I do, but the most knowledgeable researcher that I know, the person with the most knowledge of the basin and that has talked to the big players is yourself. And I'll say that hands
Thank
down.
you.
There's nobody out there that has had their finger on the pulse of that area. Even the people that go out there and buy land that pretend that they're super into the area, they don't have the information that you have. You go down there, you have a very good connection. You have a very good your fan base also is great. You got people that support you in that area, but the knowledge that you have, you've talked to these people and asked the questions that a lot of us wish we could, because those people were off limits to me. They didn't want anything. It's a trust issue. These are, like you said, this is a down home country people. They're not out looking for fame or magazine covers and all that stuff. They're just regular people trying to live their lives that have seen some very extraordinary things. And if you're lucky enough, they'll talk to you about it. And I couldn't get that from the old school Junior Hicks types guys, and the people that have been there and put the time in, all this time in back in the day. I mean, I got the Utah, what's it, Utah UFO book.
Yeah, Utah
It's,
UFO display.
yes, I got it right over there on my table. It's on my table, man. It's awesome. Oh, you got the hard copy. I don't got that kind of clout.
People. I actually have two of these, and I wonder where it is. But I've got the newer version that Junior
Right.
Hicks signed for me, which
Right.
was
See
so
that book
cute.
right there.
Oh,
That book that you're holding, that she's holding in her hand. That book is one of the book. If you're a fan of the Uintah Basin, any of these paranormal ranches, you need to read that book. You need to look at. Yep, that's the one I got. I got the soft one.
yeah, this is so cute.
Oh, that's
Here, if you can
awesome,
read
man.
that.
I can't see what he says. I just see his signature. I'm blind.
Well, that makes two of us. It says, Erica, thanks for an extensive work and interest, Joseph Junior Hicks.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that was
And,
really
and
fun.
that book, it's one of these things that's out there. The knowledge that's in that book, the stuff that they describe and talk about in that book. If you're into ufology and into the Uintah Basin, go on eBay, go on whatever, Amazon, pick that book up, man, because it's a really good read, and just the information, how many different crafts, how many different things that they saw over
Yeah.
the years. There's so many different things that are discussed in that book that it gives you an idea how deep this stuff goes in the basin.
Yeah,
And it's not, yeah, it's not based off of any ranch in particular ranch. It's based off the Uintah Basin itself to give people an idea of the activity that these people put in and the effort that they put in. And it's a good book. It's a
it
good book.
again, it's fascinating. It was so, I mean, it's just, for me, because I'm so close, I'm 5 minutes away from, the University of Utah Special Archives, and so I spent a lot of time up there, and I'm getting ready to maybe in the next week or so go dive into some other things up there, which will be exciting. But to see the original in Dr. Salisbury's, handwriting and the meticulous
Right.
work he did interviewing people that worked with Joseph or Junior Hicks and things. It was just a really, it's a fun thing. And I think, and I mentioned this last week on my show with Jack Brewer, but it was really fascinating for me to talk with both of them on different occasions, and for them to, I mean, they knew they were going through a process. They knew that, specifically Junior Hicks, that there were people that he didn't trust, and he knew they were not
By
telling
all
the
right.
truth.
By all right.
And yet, he was, I think, susceptible, like we all are, to specific information that is being put forward by people who are very good at acting and things. And I
Right.
think, like with Dr. Frank Salisbury, he went up there with James Carrion and interviewed people, and they both questioned the ranch motive and didn't really feel at the end of the day that there was a lot of stuff, if any, going on at the ranch, which I find fascinating. But you've got this rich history from Junior Hicks and other people that have seen things over the decades, and so it's fascinating, and it's also from a personal perspective to see how each of them, because they were deeply religious, and they almost went through this kind of some sort of existential crisis. I mean, they were a crisis of faith. It's like, how do I, if the UFO subject is real, how can I how can I deal with that? And I had a conversation with Junior off camera. He wouldn't, ask me to turn the camera off, and his personal experience and what that meant to him and things. And we were both like just crying because it was such a deeply personal thing for him after his whole
And
life.
that's amazing. See, that's amazing. And not to cut you off because this is a great talk, but we talk about this just a little bit ago. We go through this rough period and we realize that there's so much bad bullshit that's going on in this area. And then you run into a little dude like Junior Hicks who's not after anything, but he's seen things that he's presenting to us. I mean, are we becoming the new age Junior Hicks types to where we're gonna do what we're gonna do regardless, and we're gonna write and we're gonna do? I mean, his diagrams and the way that he drew, they're so poorly done, but they're so awesome because you could tell that the person that drew those ships, that he witnessed those crafts, that he's like, well, it's not professionally done. This is a guy who saw it that's writing about it and trying to present it to us, the people that are curious about it. So I love those drawings. I love that they're not perfect, but they're really. I mean, it's like Lazar. Bob Lazar drew that ship in the Lazar movie, and it's like, okay, cool. And then he signs it at the bottom. He signs it at
Lord.
the bottom, like, oh yeah, that's gonna be worth some money one day. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I see. That whole thing, the drawing of the ship. I liked all that part of the documentary, the Lazar, until the very end when he signed it and he scripted across the bottom, put his signature on there. Why?
Well, there's so
Why?
many whys to that story.
You know what I mean? It's like, what? Okay, that right there was like, he just autographed that UFO photo he drew. Okay, and kind of just null and voided it for me, because if he'd have just drew a picture of the craft and pushed it forward and said that's what I saw, that's what I worked on, I'd have been like, wow, that's cool. But he had to
Well,
put
of course
his
he did.
his paw print on it.
There's no ego.
But yeah, again, the knowledge that you have and the things that you've investigated in the area, there's no doubt about it that a lot of these guys come to you, and they, I know for a fact one of the people we mutual with this person. Um, this person's come to you in the past for information and gotten the information. One of the things that just bums me out about when this stuff starts to happen is they usually take that information that you give them and flip it as their own instead of giving you the credit that you were deserved or whatever. That kind of shit goes on with the basin and these stories. Oh, well, yeah, well, I was over here, and you're like, wait a minute, that's the same story I told him, and but he just changed it to his name, or that kind of stuff goes on, and it's just so sad that the basin has become that, and everybody's trying to get their signature at the bottom of the UFO pig. I'll draw a picture of UFO. There it is, right there. Look, see my picture of the UFO. There it is, right there.
Oh,
That's what you.
you got to change
I'm
this. Rated PG. UFO classified.
I'm not signing. I'm not
Adult
signing.
content.
I'm not drawing. I'm not signing. I'm trying my best to figure this stuff out, to get out there, be boots on the ground, and witness and record as much as I possibly can. If anybody wants to say I'm staging it, or it's fake, or it's not real, whatever they want to say, I keep going on, man, because I'm going to keep going on.
Well, and I think the thing that's really interesting, and I guess for me, when I first got involved in all this and I was, gung ho for MUFON and bopping around at the conferences, and I had so many great ideas to bring MUFON to the, out of the dark ages and appeal to a younger demographic. And I mean, I was putting in the work and, going to conferences and interviewing people and making them uh, personable. And I remember sitting there and watching a group full of people that had been making money and that were the head honchos in a little tiny litter box. And just sitting there knowing, like watching them look at me just like, you're going down. I just thought, oh
Right.
my God, here we go. This is the beginning.
How dare you?
the
How
end.
dare you show up with makeup on, looking nice?
I mean,
Can't you see what we look like?
it's sorry.
I know it's sad.
Jabba Luke's has got to rock it out.
Oh God, there it goes again.
I
didn't say that.
know.
I never said Jabba Loose.
I thought it was Jabba Luke's. Whatever. I'm still getting that T-shirt along with slimy malcontent.
No.
But it is like, I will say that it's just like I was always the type. I am the type of person that like looks at somebody and says, I want to support you. Okay, I look at the people in Utah, and whether right or wrong, I looked at some of the people that were investigating this, and I gave them a place to speak. I gave them, it's like, okay, I'm going to give them respect. In hindsight, perhaps that was unduly placed, but I want other people to succeed. I want a younger generation to succeed and to have time doing, what they need to do. This isn't about me getting out there and getting a million likes on my shows. I mean, seriously, look, we're here tonight and there are 7 people watching the show. Clearly, I'm not about, that's not what I care about. I care about finding like 5 people who want the truth.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they want to give information to other people so other people can have that power and knowledge and move things forward. And I think that's what we should all like. That's how we should all be. And thanks. No, Benjamin, hi, lovely to see you in chat. Let's see, what did he say? And we are an hour in and haven't heard a single detail of what Dave has seen. Always just a lovely positive comment from Ben. So why don't you give us, why don't you answer Ben's question? What
have I seen?
Yeah, give us that detail.
Oh, man.
Because clearly
Well,
Ben's going to be
Oh, Ben, I have seen one of the most amazing light things I've ever seen would be I saw a plasmatic jellyfish light that I filmed. It's on my YouTube channel called The Basin Files. You can go there. I've put it out. Some of the captures that I'm allowed to put out, I had to remove and edit a whole bunch of different things, but that light is there. There's lots of different light anomalies that's gone across. I've actually filmed an arrow-typed craft. Almost looks like it's cloaked, flying over the top of us at a campsite. There's plenty. Go on there. It's called The Basin Files. Go there and look for yourself, Ben. Come back. Let me know what you think. Thanks, Ben. Bye, Ben. Have a good day, Ben.
Yes.
It's there. It's there. If you want to know what I've seen, it's called the Basin Files. There's a lot of stuff there. Um, some of it's planetary. Um, I do all kinds of stuff. Planets, all kinds of stuff. I film the sun. I do all kinds of different
That's
things.
so
It's not
cool.
just that I'm just out there uh, looking for UFOs, but I filmed some very interesting things. Go there, look at the stuff, and come back and tell me what you think it is. I really would like to know.
And
I,
so
I have to say, I'm not here to convince or prove anything to anybody. I'm not telling you what it is. That's up to you, and for you to make up that decision for yourself. Is it possibly something from someplace else? Is it a true UAP? Is it unidentified aerial phenomenon, or is it a flock of birds? Is it whatever? I mean, go ahead, man. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear it.
and see, and I think that's, I mean, I think that's so cool, and I think that should be like an empowering process through all this. It's like, okay, you're going to go out there with your camera, you're going to film stuff, and then you're going to ask questions. And then, and I've
Yeah.
been interviewing some really fascinating people like Paul Carr from API Case Files, and it's like it's at the end of the day, it's like it's knowledge. It's if this is what it is, this is what it is, and we're going to educate you. And I want to ask you about your degree in astronomy.
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, I did it because to do this because I wanted people to know that I'm studying different things, not just going out and saying, well, this is UFO activity. Well, how do you know it? Well, I know it because it's not a constellation, it's not a planet. I go out, I photograph planets, I go out, I look into the constellations. I wanted to get something else out of this just for the satisfaction of going out and taking my kid under the stars and going out there and pointing out things, and just looking for what we can see, whatever it is that night. The one thing about astronomy is this: clouds suck. And every time I ever plan some big, huge trip to whether we're going to Nevada out into the, the blackest skies so we can see everything, and we get there and everything's ruined by cloud cover, but going in and doing this was something that I just wanted to do it. It's just something that's fascinated me. I'm completely covered in stars and comets. It starts here, it goes across, it comes to the other side. I've always been into astronomy. Um, I didn't want to, have that label. I just wanted to see what, so I could, when people go, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, I kind of do. You know what I mean?
That
I'm
is
not here
so
to
cool.
I'm not here to fight or argue with anybody, but when it comes to constellations, it comes to planets, I track the ISS. I track satellites. I photograph them. I photograph the ISS flying over my house with my handheld camera.
Oh, how
Uh,
fun.
I love this stuff. This is all about, and that's one of the things that you gotta understand. That some of the stuff I've seen on these shows, um, when they come by and they're flying just in a straight line and there's no blinking to it and they're going, oh, look at that UFO activity, and it's just flying a straight line across the sky. That's a satellite. That ain't nothing else. It's when they start turning and maneuvering, and that's when you really got to start paying attention to the activity and what it is. If it's flying a straight line, it's probably owned by Elon Musk.
And that's another story in and of itself. I mean,
Right. Right.
yeah.
As far we can go back to Ben and we can talk about paranormal stuff as well too. The
Yeah,
activity.
I'm sorry. And then, so I think James Carrion is actually in chat for a second. Which, James, nice to see you here. He's been on the show. Have you ever spoken with James over the years, Dave?
No.
So he was the executive director for MUFON during the Bigelow
Oh,
days.
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and things. And James has written. He's done a great deal of work on the subject. He wrote a book called The Roswell Deception, which is available for free online, so people can find that. But very critical thinker, a much needed person, voice in the community, asking some great questions. And so he wanted just to ask you, and I know that we touched on this a little bit earlier, but again, any interactions with NIDS personnel bass personnel, or the Fugal Goonies?
Yeah, lots of it. I can't really talk about the Fugal Goonies. That's awesome. I never heard that one before. But yeah, I've had interactions. I talked with Chris. He was on a show. You've had him on. I think I can't think of his last name right now. Christopher
Bartell?
Bartell. Bartell. Yeah, super cool guy. Very well spoken. Very calm, collected guy. Um, I'm very impressed with him because he's not out here going, look at me, look at what I've done to me. I didn't even actually know he was on TV until I was laid over in Idaho for those 10 hours. And I saw him on there, and I contacted him and said, hey man, I didn't even know, but uh, the interactions that I've had with, and no nids, because, well, they won't talk to me because they've been told not to talk to me. The guy that's behind all that, little dude.
Well, there are a couple of them.
Yeah, well, the little guy, he tells everybody not to talk to me. That's why I don't get invited to go on most podcasts, and I'm blackballed. I'm on the blacklist. People are not allowed to talk to me. If they do, then the little guy gets angry with them. And
Little guy, which one? They're all under 5'5". I mean,
the one that plays keyboards and
oh,
chews bubblegum in
okay.
his music video. Oh, what a dork. But yeah, I'm sorry to stretch it out. Just so everybody knows, I started work. I work a lot of hours. I am having a cold beverage at the end of my week, long week. I enjoy talking about the stuff. I love doing this, but yeah, I'm completely blacklisted. I was actually really surprised that you even had me on.
I think we're all, and James has been blacklisted, and James doesn't care that he's been blacklisted. And I think that there are
I don't care either. I
people,
get it.
I mean, I have as well. And I am great. And even when I was promoting this crap, I was blacklisted, and that's fine. I don't, whatever. I mean, I feel I have a greater obligation to telling the truth than I do going along with stories about Ebens and, the New World Order and reptilian shapeshifters that are living under the ground at Skinwalker Ranch and, all of this stuff that I look back, I remember like hearing these stories and you're like, oh, bro, like seriously. And then it's like, oh my God. Like, I mean, I even like hearing about, there was a shopping mall in Utah called Crossroads back in the day, that was like,
I remember it. There's an underground thing that wasn't there some big story about is that where you're going?
yes,
Reptilians. There was
yes,
reptilians. I heard all about that shit.
yeah,
Reptilians on State Street. Yeah.
yes, reptilians on State Street, and of course, because we do have like a whole vast underground tunnel here because of the Mormon Church and the leaders that are bussed around underground, for safety and things like that. So there's that vast network. But I remember, hearing, oh my gosh, some guy said that he pulled back a door. He was doing some digging on Crossroads and blah, blah, blah. And there was
It's
a
true.
reptilian there.
Same story. I heard
And
this
this is the
same
same
story.
story from the fellow that, what was his name?
Maybe you know what? It's not changed.
No,
So
what
maybe
is the guy,
maybe
you
there's some
guys in
truth to
chat?
this.
Like who is, oh my gosh, who was the fellow that went on and he died early? Oh my gosh, big conspiracy. He
I
was
think
talking
that
about
it
the
was something
reptilians
about
underground.
they were doing work down there or something to that effect. And the guy that was telling me the story, they were doing some work. An electrician had something to do with this story, and what was down in these tunnels, and lo and behold, there it was. And it's pretty on point to what you're saying. So there has to be something happened because the story didn't change very much. That's the weird part about it.
Yeah, no, okay, guys in chat, you've got to help me out with this because I'm like, seriously, who was the guy that was in all the videos, conspiracy videos? He was working for the military and then he went underground and found he was in a
Edward Snowden?
firefight.
No, not Edward Snowden. That's what they call me Edward Snowden. I'm the Uintah Basin Edward Snowden.
Oh, really?
That's what
I wonder what they call me, Jabba Lukes.
No, stop. God, you make me feel so bad about that. I'm so sorry. I am.
Hey,
I
you
really
know,
am.
the guy in second grade that, drew a picture of me and put it in the back of a social studies book, he's never going to live that down.
Well, I mean, he just had a
Phil
crush on you.
Schneider, Phil Schneider. That was
Bill
it.
Schneider.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So very, very interesting. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. I knew you guys in chat would have, and Randy Kramer, I guess he had some sort of firefight with I don't know what, but I mean that is something. And I've got to ask you, did you hear about the alleged firefight at Skinwalker Ranch?
Something about it. When people start getting crazy like that, I know all of them got guns. I mean, they all got guns. I don't even know what Skinwalker Ranch is. What is that again? I'm sorry. Is that you put that on your salad?
You know what? I think so. I think it's a
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I've heard some doozies of this or that. Um, I've seen some stuff out there. There's no doubt about it. But when people start getting elaborate into this stuff of they were fighting, I just kind of start paying attention to the rocks. You know what I mean? I just turn that stuff off because I'm just not into it. I'm just not into it. It doesn't entertain me, and I just kind of you don't want to be the guy that goes, "Are you guys crazy?" You know what I mean? This sounds just so ridiculous that
Well,
and I mean,
and there's so many stories that pop up, and I think it's like just even like in the UFO, I mean, over 70 years, it's like there stories that have popped up around Dulce and all these military bases and things, and they're fascinating. And then like just talking about what happened at Crossroads, and the aliens. It's like then you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, that's the same story that could have happened here or there. And it's just a
right.
different storyteller telling it, and so it's just really fascinating.
I've never heard the Crossroads story anywhere else but about the Crossroads Mall. And I did hear about this stuff, and it's like I just kind of sat there when I can't even remember who told me this story, to be honest with you. But it's word for word what you're saying. Like this activity going on underneath, and they closed it down, and there was all this drama going on, and somebody got hurt on a bicycle, just like this stuff that I can remember about this story.
Wow.
Uh, but yeah, it was just weird. But you hear it back, and you kind of, well, there's something going on, obviously. But there, Utah is definitely a cave tunnel system state. I mean, the church has done its duty to hollow out mountains and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, there's some really cool stuff here. Plus, we got the NSA, and don't forget about Adobe. They're here too.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry.
Who
That
knows? Who knows what Adobe knows? You
about
know what I mean?
Adobe. Well, yeah.
But
Oh, there's so much,
I
and
mean,
and
the
there
town,
are, we've got Silicon Slopes, which is, we've got a lot of tech companies moving in here, which is
right?
great for the economy, and things like that. But a lot of tech companies that are mining data and things and I mean, what to what end is this? It's that
There's no
data
end in
mining.
sight. The state is shrinking quickly. The state is shrinking quickly. When you're on the freeway, wherever I'm traveling from Wyoming to Idaho on a daily basis, um, I see a lot of different license plates other than Utah plates. So I mean, and the popularity of these TV shows and all that stuff, it's enticing to people. People want to come here and see what it's about. And unfortunately, the state is awesome. And people come here and they go, well, this place is awesome, we got to move here, and that's what's going on. And I appreciate it, but in the same
I
aspect, I
don't.
don't. You know what I mean? I
Yeah, I
appreciate it,
don't.
but I don't want a new California. I
Right.
don't.
I mean,
That's
I want to be able to buy a house or rent an apartment or do things that is in my
good
pay
luck.
scale. And so, yeah,
Good luck.
in
Yeah,
here,
I know.
but Utah is a very special, beautiful state, and I love it. And I love, I've mentioned like how much we love being up around in the Uintah Basin. I mean, that is just a stunning, stunning scenery up
It
there.
is.
So,
It is. I mean, it's just a magic place, and I'm afraid it's going to go away because of all of the activity that's going on there as far as the attention brought in. But I mean, that's why I said earlier before we went live is if they wanted the best show possible, they should have had the people that were there in the very beginning that were getting dirty, running around on these other properties and doing the investigating and really wholeheartedly, out there trying to find out what this activity is. And then all the people that were out there, blood, sweat, and tears, uh, they get replaced by these. What is he calling? Whoa! I got the earbuds. That was really
Sorry, sorry.
it's all good. I was like, holy God.
The hounds of Baskerville.
They were telling me to be quiet. Don't say that. Don't say that again. Because I'm sure there's a cease and desist on the way for
Oh
sure.
dear. Well, I mean, like I said, yeah, it's interesting, and I will definitely like go on record as I've said many times before. I watch every episode of the show, and everybody that comes into my business watches every episode of the show, and then every week we have a little. And what did we think about this week? Oh, okay. So whatever.
But
We're increasing viewership, whatever. So
it's kind of becoming like tune in next week to see if Gilligan and the skipper get off of the island. You watch, you're gonna watch Marianne and Ginger run around looking good and all that stuff, and they're just gonna be sitting there making coconut cream pies, and
well, I think we need
nothing's gonna
I think we
change
need
this week.
a couple more Marianne and Gingers on the show because there's a
Oh, for
whole
sure.
lot of white guys there.
Hey, you know what? One of the things that I don't quite get is the hat thing. Everybody's got the cool hats. I need to get one of them hats. And I think maybe I'll see more, maybe more activity because I'll have that cool hat.
Is that it?
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Well, maybe I'll
I
paint a
think
hat.
they're leather too. Aren't those hats leather?
I think they are. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
missing.
But I like I said, it's the whole thing has been an odyssey. I think for both of us and
So
for a lot of
can I
people.
ask you? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, yeah.
Where are you at with it? Where are you at with the Uintah Basin as far as the activity in the sky? Um, what does it do? As to where before when you saw it, you were full on going after it to film it to capture it. What now? What do you think now? Is it just left such a bad taste that you just aren't interested anymore in that activity, or because I
I,
don't care. I don't care. I will be honest. I don't care about the ranches. I don't. It's not. That's not what I'm there. I'm going to continue to be there long after the ranches are gone.
I think and that's a great question, and I ask myself that every day. It's like, why? What am I doing? What am I? Um, I think, I mean, like I said earlier in the show, I've seen things I can't explain. I was standing out at the border of the ranch and saw something that was very unusual. I don't know. I think that keeps me interested. I think that I love going out and exploring and sitting by a campfire and looking up at the night sky and asking questions about what could be around me that we don't have the understanding of. Like you said, there's so many things that we don't know about our own planet. Could
Right.
we be on the verge of discovering something, in Norway that is just a natural phenomenon that we haven't been able to really research, but we are now, and in 10,
Right.
15 years we're going to be, making this huge, wonderful discovery. What is that? I think there's so many wonderful questions. I think for me, though, with the ranch and specific people involved in and around that, it's been unfortunately and very unduly a negative thing when it should have been positive and all encompassing. And we're going to incorporate other people's work or ideas or thoughts and not turn it into this big um it's like a kind of a mob mentality. And I think that's really lame. I mean, I know for me personally, I've had a lot of stuff thrown at me by a specific group of people who've been in my business, who have leveled veiled threats at me which luckily for me, I've got all this documented. And I don't, for one, appreciate that. And I don't think it's needed. And I think if you're genuinely doing good scientific research and, or if you're just making an entertaining TV show, there's no need for that behavior.
Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, what is that about? I'm sure a specific person for the ranch will go all over social media and say it's because I wasn't in a TV show. And again, as I mentioned last week when Jack Brewer was on the show, I was approached. I have all of this documented. I can provide that in court if that needs to happen. But it wasn't my thing. I was very excited about being a part of a study of looking at
Wait a
new
minute though. I
information.
mean, you did so good on the show with Rosenfeld. You guys were fucking awesome on that show when you're describing the activity and just talking about certain UFO situations from around the world. You guys were awesome on that. If anybody should have been on that show, you definitely should have been the person on that show for sure. I mean it. I truly mean that. I wholeheartedly. You
Thanks.
have you have the knowledge, and you know more probably about that area than most people that live on the ranch. You know what I mean? It's true what it is. It is what it is. It's you have the knowledge, and unfortunately, you shared it with them, and now they have the knowledge, and they're just using your knowledge. You know what I
But
mean?
I know. I mean, and at the end of the day, like I said, I'm glad I'm not. I mean, because that's great, but the whole thing was just so strange, and I was so supportive for a very, very long time until, I wasn't. And I will say that there were, moments in time when I was involved with a specific person that worked for Bigelow where I had to, calm this person down from sending threatening messages to people and that, some of those, it's anyway, I shouldn't even go into that, but I know that I did what I could to try to keep everybody safe while I was going through a really horrific situation. And I do think it's pretty classless at the end of the day, that all of that could be going on. And um, Brandon Fugel could go on social media and say some of the things that he has. I think that speaks volumes about his lack of character. So
I don't even know who that is.
I know, I don't know who he is either.
Uh,
He's a
Something just
musician.
came to mind. That's so funny. That's
I know.
so.
I'm sorry. We're going off here. Okay, let's get back on track.
I just had to laugh at the musician thing. Sorry.
No, no, no. It's true. So, but it was a good try. It was a really good try. And so, what do you think of like when because you've been out there so much, you've been, you've filmed things, you've had exposure to all of this. I mean, what are your thoughts when and thank you UFO John Doe, and thank you for everybody who've made donations with super stickers tonight. Thank you,
Oh
thank
yeah,
you, thank
very
you.
cool.
Yeah,
Awesome. Good.
appreciate it. Um, what is your best evidence on dino beavers?
What? Dino
I
beavers?
know. Haven't you heard?
I don't have any idea what any of that is.
Well,
But let's hear it. Can you tell me what a
I
dino
think
beaver is?
clearly in the latest Skinwalker book, there's a passage there where Bigelow saw a dino beaver.
Is this Skinwalkers at the Pentagon?
Yeah, yeah.
I've not even read it. I apologize. I don't have the
Well,
knowledge. That's why I'm
clearly,
laughing.
it's
I'm
just
sorry.
get up to speed with that. But I mean, in all of your research in the area, have you ever heard of any type of strange creatures? I mean,
Yes, I have, and it's completely self-created. It's self-generated. Um, One of the things that I found out about the Uintah Basin that I hate has to do a lot with the Amazon storytellers and these guys that are out there claiming to be these experts, self-proclaimed experts of the area. Was a lot of the There's a lot of drug use that's gone on out there. And I know you know about it, and you're not, and you don't have to comment on it because I don't want to put you in that compromising position. But to me personally, when I started to go out and investigate into these areas, now everybody saw me. It's Friday night. I worked a long week. I'm having some beers, but I don't do that when I investigate. I don't. It's not a thing for me to go out and drink under the stars and run around and try to find aliens. But there's a couple of very well-known investigators from the area, um, that I found out through them that they use hallucinogenics out there in this area. This was their bonding moment. This is how these two boneheads became friends, because they were going out and they were doing this drug called DMT, which causes you to hallucinate. Joe Rogan talks about it in some of his stuff. What the powers of what it unleashes in your mind. And there's a theory that people think that if they take drugs, they go out and they can see aliens or Bigfoot or whatever the stuff. Now, these people go out there and they do this stuff, and at the end of the day, they go and write books and put books out about this elaborate, awesome adventure that they had. But at the end of the story, they leave out the part that they were on hallucinogenic drugs that caused all of these things that they saw. Now, there are people who truly believe if they take these drugs, it opens their minds up and allows them uh, to view these cloaked or beings in the sky. As crazy as this sounds, I'm going to toss him under the bus right now one more time, because Ryan Skinner was one of these guys that was out there actually trying to create and make his own DMT. The trail is out there on Yahoo. His name was HII 98. He was out there writing stuff and trying to create, and what's the formula of DMT. He can deny it all he wants, but I've got the links to his. This is the big guy, the investigator that everybody wants to. Oh, I know Skinner, and Skinner's a super skinwalker guy and all that. The dude was lighting himself up on drugs and going out there and doing it. Now, I'll give him the opportunity to come to my face anytime, anywhere, and deny this, because I've got the proof from some of his best friends that sent me the stuff. Links to him posed out with the name Skinwalker Ryan, looking to get drugs so he could go out to the basin and fry himself up. Now, what do you think about that? What do you think about it? Have you ever heard any of this? Any of this stuff?
I've definitely heard that that people like to go out and take, experimental
Right.
drugs to try to communicate with whatever is out there. I mean, I think that's definitely,
They do
um,
it. That's their thing. That's their thing. But they want to throw me under the bus and say that I did this or I did that. See, this is why I'm on the blacklist, is because of the stuff that I know, the stuff that I know for fact, versus they want to talk. Skinner went and run around to anybody that would listen to him about telling them to stay away from me. The reason that he went to these people and told them to stay away from me is because I know what he is. I know the truth about him, and I have the proof to do that. I'm not just; these aren't just insinuations. I'm telling you right now. I'm not acting. I've got the proof. I've got the proof. Remember, I told
so
you I'm always recording.
yeah. And I want to just say in fairness, because I know that two of these people are in chat and engaging and things, and so if I mean, how would you feel if I posted a link for them to get into the show and respond? Would you be okay with
Post it.
that?
Post that. Bring
Okay.
him in. Bring him in. Bring him in.
Okay.
Bring him in.
Just so we've got.
I love it. This is what we should have done. We should have started like this.
Yeah, we should have. And so, guys, I mean, obviously you're listening and you're talking in chat, and so here's your invitation to come on, and hopefully you guys can see that, and then yeah, get on here and respond to to some of the things that have been said. I think that would be great. I think that
And,
probably has been done.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Everything I say, I can prove. I can prove everything I say. So whoever comes on, just be prepared, because after this show, I'm going to go get in my little hard drive over there, and I'm going to pull up all of this stuff for Erica to post up and show the screenshots and show the conversations that you said and you post it, just remember what you ask for, you're going to get your answer. So be very fucking cautious.
So yeah, the link is on there, guys. And John, not a nice to see you in chat. Definitely, I have met Dave Berman, and he's amazing. We've got so many great astronomers in Utah here, and so there's the link again, guys. I posted that up there, Mario. Hopefully, you can make sure that that is a clickable link, so we can invite either people into the show tonight so they can respond to some of the things that have been said, because I think that is only fair. So, um, yeah. Anyway, we'll see how that goes.
Come on, man. I've been waiting for this for a minute. Bring your ass
For a
and
minute.
let me hear what you got to say. And just like I say, be very cautious because I've got everything. I've got everything I've said. I've got proof.
Well, it's 6:36, so
It's all good. I'll wait all night. I will be here till 7:37. I don't give a shit. They want to come, and just be careful. Be careful because what you say and what you deny, and I prove it to you and everybody else, you're gonna look like an idiot.
well, I mean, clearly, like, yeah, but I think this would be good, and I think this is one thing that there are people in the UFO world, specifically with regard to Skinwalker Ranch, who, when you ask them questions and say, "Can you please provide information on things," that they will block you and not respond and provide information. So, um, if you've got that and you want to refute some of the things that are being said, this is your chance. I think that's a really important chance for you to talk about that. I know that um, it is 6:37, so
I'm down. I love it. It gives me complete opportunity to clear the air and show this shit once and for all. If somebody wants to challenge me and say that I'm not telling the truth, please feel free. I will prove it to you.
yes, this will be good. So, and I want to say Mystico 90, it's your 6:07 a.m. where you are. So thank you for waking up early and watching the show. And I know there are many of you from all over the world, Ireland and Scotland and different places that watch UFO Classified. And I love the fact that you guys are willing to stay up late and hang out, or get up early and hang out with us, because we're trying to do a good job. And so, Shadowy Spectrums, Peter, my friend, thank you for your help in promoting my show. But I don't know who was behind the Crossroads story again. That was probably back in the maybe 80s, 90s type of thing when that story came out. So we don't know, but it's a good story in folklore. 6:38.
Just so whoever knows, just so whoever wants to come on, I'm going into my Facebook messages right now with links and proof of what it is I said. So please hurry up and come and refute anything that you want. I'm all about it. I love rebuttaling. Let's do it.
Well, clearly there's not a lot of rebuttaling going on, so maybe there was a bad cell connection or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Mhm.
Maybe they're at
Yeah.
the
Well,
ranch and
again,
talk about that.
when it comes to certain individuals that are around the ranch, it is what it is. Um, I thought these people were my friends. They pretended they were very good at pretending to be my friend. I'm not a sugar coated person, as you guys have noticed over the last couple hours. I'm not here to prove anything to anybody as far as activity goes. I think that's up to the individual. If you're an atheist, you're never going to believe in God, and I'm not going to have that fight. I don't have the energy within myself to try to prove anything to you. That's up to you. If your eyes are open and you're out there looking, you probably already believe in God. But I'm just saying in general, I'm not here to convince anybody or prove any solid evidence. I film what I film, and we don't know what that stuff is. We don't know what we're communicating with. We don't know what it is we're looking at. Whether you've got letters in front of your name, whether you're a doctor, it doesn't matter because they don't know any more than we do. They're out there looking under the same stars, just as amazed and wondering what that is the same way as we are. Their education doesn't help them there. There's nothing that can help you there except, you got money, you got better cameras, you got better equipment. That's great. But when it comes to this type of little tit for tat, oh, he said this, oh, he's lying. No, man. I told you that I can prove everything I said, and there's a lot of people in a lot of areas that are watching me right now that know I can prove it because they've got copies of it because I had to legally give a lot of stuff away. But I didn't give everything away, but I had to give some of the stuff. And this was screenshots with conversations with other people. So everybody knows. They know I'm telling the truth. So it's if you guys love me, hate me, whatever the case, I was never here to impress you anyways. So I appreciate it if you like what I'm about, and I appreciate it if you hate me. I don't have the energy to fight with you about it. I believe what I believe. I've seen what I've seen.
And you have the screenshots and recordings to back it up, which I think is
Absolutely.
really, important. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Absolutely I
it's
do.
as do I. So yeah, and that's, I think, just the smart thing to do, specifically when you're dealing with people that you have questions about.
Well,
Um,
there was
so
one guy, and I haven't said his name. I don't think I have it yet. But there was one guy that said, because there's another ranch right next to the other ranch. It's a smaller ranch, but this ranch I was actually the ranch manager of. So I was bringing people in, taking them on tours, showing them the area. The person that owned that ranch was telling people that I gave myself the title of ranch manager. It's hilarious. So I sent this person back the screenshot of his words telling me that I was the ranch manager and it was my responsibility to handle this and that. And then that's kind of where it stopped, right? Um, he didn't continue on with he's making this stuff up. He's calling himself, because once they see that I've got the proof of it, that they said this and I did that, that's what it was about. It was all about, it was a very innocent thing at the time. We were just trying to figure out what we were looking at. That's all. We were going out there and enjoying the time under the stars. And of course, you don't see something every single night. There's those nights where you're just chilling out, enjoying the company of your friends that you think are your friends. But once you start to gain any type of clout, or you start to record things, uh, you start to present things that are beyond them and what they're capable of doing, then you become the enemy, because now you're getting attention, and they don't like that. They don't like that. This whole thing's an ugly, dirty thing, because they don't want you. You man. We'll go back again on the Skinner thing. Dude, is this dude not trying to be famous? Anybody want to tell me he's not trying to be famous? That dude is trying everything he can to be famous. And that's what he's not trying to prove anything or go out there and show us anything. He's just trying to duck face. I'm Ryan Skinner. Get the fuck out of here with that stupid shit, man. You know what I
Mother,
mean? Go
Mama.
duck face your way the other way. Sorry about that. Sorry about the language, but hey, I'm real. What was it?
It's okay. We will put this is for mature audiences.
Hey, I'm 51. I'm 51 years old. I'm raised in Queens, New York. If you think I'm going to stop now, you're crazy.
Well,
You're crazy.
clearly, we've got it. Okay, it's 6:44. Um, okay, nobody yet, but that's okay. So here's a question: while we can, watch and wait and see what will happen, um, and then look forward to having some, things shared with the public at some point. Okay, have you? Let's see. Has Dave done any looking about research at Tavaput's plateau sightings?
Nothing at all.
Okay.
Nothing at all. And I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't even know what that is. I'm focused on what it is I'm focused on. Uh, I haven't ventured out into that area yet, so it'd be stupid for me to even pretend like, oh no, yeah, sure, no, I have no idea what that
Okay.
even is. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Well, that would be interesting to find out about. I'll have to to talk with him and find out more about that. But and then let's see. Yeah. So Scott Nelson, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so anyway, I did again post. We will keep posting the link here for people to get in because we still have a few moments
Be careful.
to.
That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is be careful what they ask for. Because if somebody wants to come here and try to say that I'm not telling the truth, I swear I will prove it. I will prove it. I've got a little black hard drive with lots of stuff on it.
And so, and I just, yeah, think that, yeah, this is definitely interesting. Yes, the clock is ticking and things. And so, um, thank you for, for coming on the show and for reaching out to me. I think that was a really great thing to do. And I couldn't understand when all of that happened, back in the day. It just was like, what is going
Well,
on? And I will say
I
that I
was wrong. I
was.
was wrong. I was 100% completely wrong. I should have showed you and talked to you about what was being presented to me, and I didn't. I failed. I wasn't in a good place for all that stuff. I was focused on everything else that was going on. Everything was moving so fast, and then I just fell for their bullshit. So I'm really sorry I'm really sorry. I'm also sorry if I offended anybody with my language tonight. It's not. I'm just trying to relax and have fun with talking
No, I
about the
think
stuff that I love to talk about.
I think John Stewart did a great job of using language last night when he was being interviewed about military vets that have been exposed to and are suffering from horrific things, and the
Right.
government isn't stepping in. It was quite colorful in his language as well. That's I
Right.
thought.
But I have to. I'm just saying. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but I'm real about this stuff, man. I'm not here to try and gain anything. I love to talk about this stuff. I truly do. I'm very passionate about it, and yeah, I can get angry quick about it. And I failed. I should have discussed things with you, and I'm really sorry that I ever disrespected you.
No, thank you.
It wasn't
Thank you.
warranted.
And I think that's the important thing is just talking about stuff like that because there's always, a person here saying this and a person there, and it just gets very, unfortunately juvenile. And I will say very much back then I was definitely on, on the side of supporting Brandon,
It's all good.
and Skinwalker Ranch. And
Hey,
so you live and you learn, and
so was
it,
I. I
so
still do. I still do. I still. Here's the weird part about it. Out of all of this, out of everything that's happened negative, and the bullshit of fighting with each other, I still support those guys. I hope that they make some type of crazy breakthrough and they're able to tell us. I'm rooting for them. I'm pulling for them. I hope they're able to do it. I haven't seen anything that insinuates that they're close to anything, but hey, uh, of course I want them to find something and discover something. That's why I go there. So if I go there looking for my own truths, and I believe that that's part of it, I can't root against those guys because that would make me a hypocrite. Of course, even the haters, the guys that we talked about, Skinner, hey, Ryan Skinner, go out, film a UFO, prove to us that it's real. I'm rooting for you. I hope you can prove that because that's the end goal, right? That's what we care about. But we get sidetracked off of these attacks back and forth. And Skinner is one of the top guys that's been out there throwing me under the bus to anybody that will listen to him. So it is what it is.
well,
I just
it is disappointing to know that people that have trusted and cared about and supported over the years have been, not, playing low level games because none of that is needed in this. We need to have a good dialogue. We need
right,
to support
right,
each other,
right.
and when something is wrong, as it is with a certain ranch in Utah, when we know that it's just strictly entertainment and other people are being pulled into occult like belief systems, then people need to stand up and call it out and move things forward in a productive way, which I think is a really important thing. So then I'm just going to ask, uh, where is Dark Canyon located according to you? And I know that Hero Paranormal asked that. And again, Hero, you can always call into the show. I think that's what we've been asking you to do.
I think Hero Paranormal. That's Ryan Burns. I don't know what Ryan Burns is about. So we used to be buddies, and we're not buddies anymore. He doesn't like me anymore. So Dark Canyon. I don't know if it's up by if it's the same Dark Canyon we're talking about up by Blind Frog or what. I don't know. I don't know what he's asking.
Well, the link was given. So, okay. And so, what are your best guess as to what UFOs are? What is your
Well,
best guess?
it all depends on where they are. It seems like these coastal UFOs seem to be more of a drone type of activity, to where it's almost like Spygate, to where we're being spied on, more of a China, and I don't mean any country, but they seem to be coming from China, and our military seems to be uh, the situation that they're being spied on, our stealth ships and all these new things that we have out in the ocean. So there's no doubt about it. The tic tac and all that stuff, all those videos, the one little thing ripping across the water, it's very drone like to me. Um, as far as UFO activity goes, the things that I've seen, I sure would love to think they were from someplace else. I sure would love to think that they were from someplace else. I hope that they're from someplace else, because as you guys can see, as cool as we try to be about all this stuff, there's a lot of animosity built up between people. Unfortunately, I don't know why it happens in this game, but um, I would like to think that there's someplace better than this. Maybe that's why they don't stop and talk to us, because they watch us fight like this over silliness. I mean, I lost friends over this stuff. Was betrayed over this stuff. There's a whole dark world that you want to talk about. Dark Valley. Dark Valley is Dark Canyon. Dark Canyon is in Uintah Basin. The whole basin's Dark Canyon if you allow it to be, because people will stab you in the back in the blink of an eye if they think they're going to elevate themselves, and it's just a very sad state. But in short, I hope UFOs are from someplace else. I hope they're drones uh, off the coast, because that would make more sense. But some of the things that I've seen in the sky, I believe. My son, he just turned 10. He said to me, Dad, what if the UFOs are the aliens? Like, what if the UFOs are the living creature? And I thought that was one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard about a UFO, and it came from a 10-year-old. So maybe I can
Cool.
keep learning from him. So
I know.
that's
I mean, and it's so fun to like listen to a younger person and just with their, just kind of this wisdom but naivete, and just
right.
I don't know. Miss I miss that. I want to get back there to be having that just that sense of wonder and empowerment. And I think that's
The innocence of it all is still that magic. It's like we get older and we know that Santa Claus isn't real, but Christmas magic still is there with us, right? It's up to us to keep it. So it's the same thing, unfortunately, around UFOs and paranormal. It costs friendships, it costs all kinds of stuff, man. And there's a very dark side to all this stuff, unfortunately. And the end goal should be, let's work together and try to figure out what this is. Hey, you know about that? Cool, I know about this. We join up together and we make some cool stuff happen. But it just doesn't seem to work that way, because individuals like Duckface Skinner are out there trying to be shirtless on Facebook and impress people with themselves. That's just, God, I want to slap the shit out of that guy. Anybody got his number? I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But I really do want to slap the shit out of that guy.
I will say that I mean, there I yeah, I
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Eric. I'm sorry to
no,
UFO
no,
Classified
no,
for
no, no,
for
no.
being
It's been
that
a
way, but it's deserved. It's not like he didn't earn me wanting to slap the shit out of him. I mean, he did some stuff.
I will say that he has not been very nice to my to me as well, and there were some things posted on yeah, on the internet about spousal abuse and things basically. Yeah, and that
Well,
was at him. And I just again, it's like I just at the end of the day, we should be over this. We should not be in this. And this just goes to show the level of um just I mean, absolute crap that goes on when you enter this subject and people don't I don't think any of us knew that we would have to deal with this kind of stuff, and it's there. And then you go to UFO Twitter and places like that on social media, and it's there. And nobody is, or a handful of people are standing up against this and saying, wait a minute, we're not going to use the internet to bully and abuse people, and we need to come together and have a dialogue. But there's a lot of bad behavior, and a lot of people have been hurt by this bad behavior, and it does need to be pointed out and it needs to be addressed. And if I can offer the link here for now 20 minutes for people to come in here and stand up and address the claims that you've made, and they're not here, then what are we left to think about that? That
I
is
swear
interesting.
to you, I swear to you, I can show you everything I say. I'll put money on it. Let's anybody want to bet?
Clearly not, but
I will prove what I say. I will prove what I say. Again, I'm sorry for the friendships that were lost over this stuff. I'm sorry for the um, the disrespect I showed you in the past. It's we fall into these ruts, and that's it. But with that said, I also want to say I very much appreciate the opportunity to be able to come on and say I'm sorry to you,
yeah,
and
thank you.
to tell everybody that goes to the basin, keep investigating, keep looking. Um, we I hope you guys I hope somebody captures it. It's not about me; it's about all of us in general. And the quest at the end of the day is to capture the activity, and that's what matters most to me.
Absolutely. And I think that this is a good, as interesting as this show has been, I think this is a good, this shows you what you get when you start putzing around with Skinwalker Ranch and places in the Uintah Basin or the UFO
What's
subject.
that? What's
I
Skinwalker?
know.
I never even heard of that place.
I
What is
know.
it?
Trust me, I wish I hadn't either. I got a shot
Do you have
probably
it with
and tried it.
salad? Is it with salad?
Clearly.
Right.
So I think that it's I think that we need to just be aware, yeah, that this stuff goes on, and I think it turns people that are good people and into people that aren't necessarily doing things for the best, and it's just it can be an ugly thing, so just be aware. And then at the end of the day, we'll all come out of this and try to learn from this, and then get back to like exploring like what is really good and fun and empowering, but just be
Right.
aware of the dark side. So I think
It's
that is the
there.
way.
It's there. But I do appreciate you being professional and adult enough to accept my apology and for having me on and discussing this stuff. I can't wait to talk more. I want to hear more about Junior. I really do. He seems like he was just a really cool guy. I never got to meet him, so
You know what? He was, and that's been like some of the great, I mean, just like those cool relationships that you have when you're sitting with somebody and you can look at them in the eye and just see that they're genuinely, whether it's right or wrong, this is his truth. And that was
right,
something that he felt until the day he died, and having those powerful moments with people that have done a lot in their community. And not only was, just specifically with Junior, he was a beloved member of that community. He was a very deeply religious man, a kind person, a family man, a wonderful human being. And at the end of the day, it's like those, we can have all this discourse and negativity and things, but those are some of the really special people and moments that we can remember when we're weeding through all of this stuff. So thank you for just a great show, Dave.
yeah.
I'm gonna go back and watch this one over and over again. But
Oh boy, yeah, somebody is right now with a pencil and piece of paper. Cease and desist on the way soon. I know.
yeah, I'm sure. Well, whatever. Like I always
Right,
say, the discovery process is a beautiful thing. So we'll see how that goes.
right.
But thank you. And like, where can people find you if you want them to
The
find you?
Basin Files. The
Okay,
Basin Files is a name that I came up with that Ryan Skinner stole from one of his books. Don't buy that book. But go to YouTube and watch my videos for free on the Basin Files.
cool. Thank you. And I will look forward to talking to you again and everything. And you stay safe. And next time you come to Salt Lake, let me know. I hear that we are going to be hit by a Chinese rocket this weekend.
This weekend is
Salt
possible.
Lake.
I
I
I'm
know. Thanks
stoked.
for telling.
I'm
Well, no, you're
stoked.
stoked. Are you?
I'm
You're
stoked.
you're in Ogden. You're not even in Salt
I'm
Lake. What
like,
are you?
yes. I'm like, come on. I got my cameras ready to go.
Oh,
Let's do
great.
it.
Thanks. Well, just capture me waving before the
Oh,
rocket hits my head.
right, right. So Be safe. Be
Thank you. You
safe.
too. Take care, you guys.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and tuning in. I appreciate it. Take
Yeah,
care.
absolutely.
Uintah Basin, go out there, investigate, film it.
And get a therapist. It's good. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, Dave. I will talk to you
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to everybody for watching the show, supporting the show. And I want to give a big shout out to Mario, who is just always wonderful, Peter, who helps get information out there on social media, and to all the people that donated super stickers in chat, to my friend Barry Greenwood, my friend Jack Brewer. Go to the UFO Trail to look at his wonderful work that he's done, or Greenwood Archives. Also, check out James Carrion's work, The Roswell Deception. Great stuff. Thanks, you guys. Be safe, and just know if I'm not here next weekend, it's the Chinese rockets. So can't make this stuff up. Take care. Catch you guys next week.